Greetings, foolish mortals. Your ghost host with the most, Blue Dragon 5 here, with a spirited installment of Disney Debates, Haunted Mansion Edition, in celebration of 50 frightening years. Tonight's dismaying docket boasts the following. Most redeeming element of the Haunted Mansion movie. Best room in the Haunted Mansion. And who should play the Hatbox Ghost in a reboot? Before the 13th hour approaches, kindly step all the way in and make room for everyone as we board the Omnimover and travel my way to our austere arena, where two corruptible mortal wait. In this corner, a grim grinning ghost who's come out to socialize. Happy haunts materialize. It's Tiki!
What up?
And in the opposing corner, the original hitchhiker shrouded in a daft disguise because in the overlay season, they call him Sandy Claus.
Yo!
I mean,
All right.
he has two names that work with the Haunted Mansion.
He does.
And arriving for the midnight spree, it's my co-host with the most, the groundskeeper when the crypt doors creak. It's Jacob Weil!
And remember to step into the dead center of the podcast.
So, fellas, how we doing?
I'm doing fine. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm using a fancy new blue snowball. Do you notice any quality difference in my audio?
It sounds great.
Oh, cool. Nice to hear it.
All right. Okay, let's just quickly go over the rules for this evening. We got 3 rounds, 2 contenders, 1 winner. We're going to reveal our picks. We're going to go to the opening statement where you say all the good stuff, kind of stake your claim for things, and then we fight to a fiery finish, as it were. My other little co-host here, R2D2, is the bell. When he speaks up, everybody shut up so Jacob and I can deliberate. That's pretty much how that goes. Of course, at the end of 3 rounds, we go to the trick-or-treat coin, which happens to be chocolate, by the way. Just a little fun fact there for you, a chocolate coin. Basically, at the end of 3 rounds, I present this to both of our competitors here. If it lands heads, they can get a point. Lands tails, not so lucky. They lose a point.
Is there a hidden coin?
Not this time. No, we ran out of time. Didn't have it in the budget. Okay.
What, really? No hidden coin?
Fine, we can do the hidden coin.
I just want to know for sure one way or another.
Well, if we're on a time constraint, we have no hidden coin, which we have no hidden coin.
Okay, fair enough.
Anywho, okay, of course, the first 1 to 5 wins the whole ball of wax. You understand these rules as I have explained them to you here this fine evening?
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
yes.
Sandy?
Yep.
Okay, verbal. Well, is that just a yep, or is that verbal confirmation? I need to know for legal reasons.
That was
vocal confirmation. It was vocal confirmation.
All right, let's just talk. Okay. Anyway, let's go to the randomizer. Let's figure out who's going first.
Looks like Sandy's going first.
Sandy's going first. All right, that brings us to round numero uno. So, inspired by our haunted holiday hijinks on the Haunted Mansion movie, round 1 is as follows in the full wording. What is the most redeeming element of the Haunted Mansion movie? Sandy, what do you got?
Well, I have Wallace Shawn over there on the right.
Okay. Tiki.
And I've got just general production design and aesthetic.
All right, opening statement, Sandy.
Well, Wallace Shawn, he's got one of those personalities, one of those voices, one of those faces that's just it's known all over. I mean, you can't not love this guy. And the fact that he gets a really nice chunky role in the movie, that I think it really helps. It really gives it some cushion when you really want to just be down into it and just rip the movie apart. You think, oh, there's Wallace Shawn. I better leave him alone. So to the nasty critic inside all of us, I think we can all agree that Wallace Shawn is just a great big bundle of lovableness in this movie, in every movie.
All right, Tiki.
I mean, let's just face it. Visually, this movie is great. You've got Rick Baker doing the makeup. You've just got just a ton of amazing sets and aesthetics. I like how the movie is inspired by the attraction for sure, but it doesn't just completely lift the attraction. It definitely, like, we have all these sets that feel like reminiscent of the attraction, but still feel like its own thing. And just, I mean, visually speaking, I feel like the strength of the movie can't really come down to the characters or the story. The strength of the movie really is in just that haunted house vibe. You can't have a good haunted house movie without a good haunted mansion. And the production design on the Haunted Mansion movie definitely delivers. I think it's probably the best element of the whole movie. I think it's probably the reason to rewatch it. Wallace Shawn is good, sure, but Wallace Shawn is only in so much of the movie. So that's my argument. Even when Eddie Murphy is at his worst, you still have that beautiful background to look at.
Okay, so guys, fight to the finish. Take a chainsaw to the other guy's head, by all means. Of course, metaphorically speaking. So, have it.
Yes, metaphorically speaking, Dragon. Thanks for that confirmation.
Yes.
Yeah, Tiki, I agree that the sets and production design costumes, it's all pretty nice, but I think it gets bogged down with too much CGI, which has not aged well. It's one of those instances where it's like in the Final Destination movies. You have some really cool makeup, but they just mask it with CGI and it makes it look ugly.
I mean, I actually rewatched this movie this past week for the podcast, and honestly, it doesn't have as much CGI as you would expect it to. And some of the CGI it does have, like Madame Leota, for example, is done pretty tastefully. Your boy Wallace Shawn is incorporated pretty well into CGI. With the basically what they do with the CGI is just kind of mimic the green glow that the ghosts have in the attraction for the ghost effects. And is it flawless? No, but I honestly think that it looks better than a lot of the other CGI from, like, take, for example, Lord of the Rings is a movie with tremendous production design. But when you get down to it, in all three of the Lord of the Rings movies, there's some really silly moments involving CGI. And honestly, Haunted Mansion, I'm sure there's a couple of scenes that you could kind of pick out with CGI, but in general, there's a lot of Rick Baker makeup. There's a lot of just really good use of backgrounds and sets, and that's where the strength of the movie comes in, is those sets and that makeup.
Yeah, a decent argument there. Wallace Shawn, I mean, you can have good set production design and everything, but that can't bring forth a personality like the majesty of Wallace Shawn. Sir Wallace Shawn can. Wallace Shawn is just, like I said, he's just a fantastic human being who deserves so much in life.
I love Wallace Shawn as much as the next guy, I really do, but Wallace Shawn is not the bee's knees when it comes to actors, man. He's pretty one-dimensional. I mean, let's get down to it. Like, I love Wallace Shawn, but he's really got like one, maybe two modes. And you know what? I love Wallace Shawn when he's a little bit more dramatic, but here he's just kind of like in classic A mode Wallace Shawn, just like, oh yes, I'm a frumpy housekeeper. Oh, just kind of like a warrior. He's just kind of like on autopilot. He's just earned it. This is a paycheck Wallace Shawn role.
I believe that argument is a little bit inconceivable. If I do say so myself. Wallace Shawn is great in anything he's in, and to think otherwise is just blasphemy. He was in Toy Story, dang it.
he was in Toy Story 4 for all of like maybe 2 minutes.
And I'm gonna play that Toy Story card really strong because I know how much Dragon likes that movie. He was in Toy Story.
But my original argument stands is that Wallace Shawn might be in, like, I don't know, maybe if you put all his scenes together, it might equal about 10, maybe 15 minutes of the movie. And that, an argument can be made about a movie having a character with little screen time make a big impact, like, let's say, Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. Are you saying that Wallace Shawn is on the same level of Hannibal Lecter, where he's just hoisting up this entire movie?
Yeah. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
Those are some big shoes to fill, Sandy.
Yeah, perhaps not. But when it comes to your set production design, Tiki, I think it looks very drab. I think the image up there it looks very dull. And while it might be detailed, it's missing that kind of no pun intended the life that it needs to really pop. Yeah, I mean that's essentially what I think of the house. I mean, I think of course they didn't stay true to Walt's original vision of keeping the outside of the house nice and the inside musty. But in fact, I'd say it's probably the opposite. So that's a foul against them. Yeah.
I mean, I do hear you with the outside inside thing. That is like it is maybe a little bit too elegant inside, but my argument for that is that the mansion itself, in the context of the story, is caught in this weird sort of time loop that your boy Wally is involved in, by the way. And because of that, I think it actually makes sense that the mansion is decrepit on the outside, but once you get inside, it's much more stately because all the ghosts are haunting it and kind of making it that way. And I think when you look at it in that context, it's a clever subversion of the whole, like, the ghosts will take care of the inside, because the ghosts are literally taking care of the inside.
R2,
right.
you can roll on it anytime you want now.
Oh, for pity. Jacob, thoughts?
I think arguments were raised for both, like, in equal, maybe not in equal measure, but I think Diggy raised more about the whole aesthetic. I think he actually spent more time attacking Wallace Shawn than he did building up his own point, but Ezra didn't really counterattack that much against it, so.
So you basically can get a lot of warm-up round from this one. Well, it's interesting because I do hear you. I hear your argument there, Jacob. I hear your point, Jacob. Is that I think Tiki relented a lot on his own point, in that Sandy kind of dinged him, and Tiki didn't quite. He was just kind of stumbling around after he was dunged there, just after the whole basically the whole the classic Walt aesthetic of the haunted mansion, and the fact that. But then I think Tiki kind of recovered though with the fact that it's a ghost taking care of the insides. That's why I'm a little on the fence here. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with kind of quantity on this one here. I think Tiki made the most points. I'm gonna give it to Tiki though.
All right. Good argument though, Ezra. You came out fighting. I respect that.
And Sandy, did the decision to pick Wallace Shawn have anything to do with the fact that he has your name?
I don't remember.
Well, he does in fact have your name.
The character, Sandy. The character.
Yeah. I thought Tiki had, or maybe you originally had the backstory and the lore behind the mansion in the movie.
He changed it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's what I thought I was going to be up against.
I mean, I warned you about that like 2 days ago. To be fair.
Oh yeah, I know.
I read it.
It doesn't matter. You deserved it either way.
All right.
So picking Wallace Shawn didn't have anything to do with the fact that the character has your name.
Like I said, I don't remember.
Anywho, moving on to round two. Round two, which, by the way, tonight's debate is brought to you by Haunted Holiday Hijinks. Check it out now.
Do you guys like the images I found for this? I found like a concept art for the ballroom for that.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sweet. Okay. All right. Round 2. What is the best room in the Haunted Mansion attraction? Sandy.
I have the ballroom, specifically the ballroom in the Disneyland mansion.
Okay. Tiki.
I have the stretching room, and you know what? For continuity's sake, let's say specifically the Disneyland version of the stretching room.
A couple land boys here, do we? All right. All right, Sandy.
Well, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with the ballroom in the mansion. I think with the ballroom, it's kind of like the pinnacle. It's the centerpiece of the mansion when you think about it. I mean, it has so much going on within it. It basically it's the first room to fully showcase or to showcase at all the type of effects that you're going to be seeing throughout the rest of the ride. That being Pepper's Ghost, and it's pulled off perfectly. I mean, for back in the day, I mean, was released in '69. This or yeah, opened in '69. Yeah, so this is pretty incredible. The fact that these guys were able to put the pieces together and do this kind of what's that noise? That's bothering
Who's
me.
sweeping?
Sorry, that's me. Sorry, I'm rubbing my hands together. I didn't realize it was catching on microphone. I'm sorry.
Anyways, I'll save my rest for the argument.
Okay. So I think the stretching room, even though it's not on the actual ride, is just conceptually the best room in the entire mansion. You know, while all the other rooms are essentially rooms that you would find in any mansion, you know, you've got the parlor, which is the seance room. You've got like the library, the conservatory, of course, the ballroom, the attic. But what the hell is the stretching room? It's a chamber with no windows and no doors. It's got the most iconic narration in all of Disney. Sue me if you think otherwise. It is the most iconic narration in all of Disney. What I love about the stretch room, too, is that I feel like the stretch room is the most intense room in the whole mansion because you've got that lightning flash and the guy hanging. There's so much lore there. There's so much to uncover. I absolutely love the detail, the gargoyles with the candles. Of course, you've got those classic, iconic Mark Davis paintings, one of the most sought-after pieces of merchandise in the Disney theme park collecting community. And I just feel like the whole thing is just very unique to the mansion. You know what I mean? Other haunted houses could have a ghostly ballroom. We've seen that a lot. But only in the Haunted Mansion do you have this room that physically goes up, and in the case of Disneyland, it goes down and not up, so it's kind of an illusion on top of an illusion where you're going down where it looks like the room is going up. That kind of adds to the wonkiness of it. And this room is just like literally stretching. It's like I just think that conceit unto itself, mixed with the storytelling of it, and the fact that it is a room that you get to stay in for a while and savor. I just think all those things just add to the iconic staple that is the stretching room. So there we go.
All right, boys, skewer and swallow the other guy's soul. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Go on, fight it out.
Well, to be honest, Jiggy, I don't really know that I've ever seen another haunted house ride that has a ballroom, especially not to this scale. I mean, if that's so, then this was definitely what kickstarted it. And I think the fact that this idea was good enough to do that, I think is pretty important. Your argument's pretty solid, but I think what the stretching room relies mostly on is just the haunting narration, which is good. Don't get me wrong, I like it a lot, but with the mansion, I think what I feel the Disneyland version at least is about is all the really brilliant effects and just dazzling people through this Disney magic that you find prominently in the ballroom, with all the ballroom dancers, with the various activities being displayed throughout the ballroom. You've got the organ player, the granny knitting in the chair. You've got the duelers on the wall, and you've got the guys hanging from the chandelier. I mean, there's so much to look at. I think next to the graveyard, this is probably what you're going to be going on the ride a second or third or even fourth time to see. just because you see something new every single time, and I think that's one of the biggest things the mansion is known for, is just always noticing something new every time you ride it.
All right. So I'm going to get into a critique of the mansion. That's a very unpopular opinion, but this is like a hot take that I'm sharing right now on this show. So you guys are in for a treat here. As good as the ballroom is, and it is a spectacle to be sure, it's like the best use of Pepper's ghost and like old school magician's effects ever. It blows its load, man. I feel like by the ballroom being there and being so big and just such a centerpiece, it kind of makes the rest of the ride a little bit underwhelming. Now, with Disneyland, of course, you've got the Hatbox Ghost to look forward to, but you've also got the Sony plasma screen Constance Hatchaway Ghost, which is just not very impressive at all. You've got like the AAs in the graveyard, which don't really move as much and aren't as fluid, and they're obviously hidden behind scrims, whereas in the ballroom it's much more seamless. So that's my problem, is that like I feel like once I am past the ballroom, I feel like I've seen the best that the ride has to offer. But because of the pacing, I feel like that almost kind of like my best example is this. I feel like, Sandy, what you're alluding to with the way it opens up the rest of the ride, I feel like Pirates does a better example of this, because on Pirates, the scene that opens up the environment and shows what the ride is all about is the fort versus the ship battle, right? When you go from the caves into the port, and you see the ship, and you see the couple of pirates on the ship, and that scene does have a big scale to it, but the centerpiece of the ride doesn't come until the end with the Burning Village, and the Burning Village is where you get that kind of like sensory overload of things to look at. So I hope that makes sense. It's kind of a gripe I've had with the mansion the whole time I've been riding it. And you guys are free to hate me now, because I understand it's an unpopular opinion. All right.
Well, I think it's different for everybody. I mean, I definitely don't hate you for your opinion. I mean, I think it's completely valid, but I think for everyone it's probably different. Some people like the stretching room more. Some people like the ballroom more. Some people probably even like the attic more than anything else in the ride. I think the graveyard was definitely supposed to be that big spectacle centerpiece of the ride. Whether it's held up or not is definitely debatable. But is that you? You're breathing really heavily into the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
This microphone might be a little overly sensitive. I hope you...
Yeah. Apparently,
it's like you're breathing down my neck.
Oh my god. Sorry.
Okay, anyway. Okay, continue, Sandy.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull a Tay-Zonde. I'm gonna back away from the mic so I don't breathe into it.
Okay.
Chocolate rain.
Well, like I said before, I mean, the mansion is just, I mean, the ballroom is just, it's gorgeous. Beautiful use of color, of architecture, really. There's not a whole lot more to say. I mean, this is an argument between the best scenes.
I feel like the ballroom goes by too fast. That's another thing that I kind of hold against it.
Well, yeah,
it's kind of the point. It's not necessarily a blink and you miss it, but I feel like it's pretty close to being a blink and you miss it, just by its very nature, because it's just kind of like you go in. That's what I love about the stretching room, is that the stretching room you can really linger. The stretching room you can take in all the details. With this, yeah, it's kind of like it's a point to get people to re-ride the thing. But still, I feel like every time I'm going into the stretch room, I can't really, or I'm sorry, every time I'm going into the ballroom, I can't really savor it. I always get that kind of pressure to be like, oh, I'm looking at this, and then I'm looking at this.
Well, like Madame Melita said, I mean, or like the ghost host said, but the ballroom is when the spirits are officially coming out to materialize in front of you, and they're going to do it in a very big ghostly fashion. So I think the fact that there's a lot going on is kind of the point, and of course they want you to write it again, but that's kind of the point. I mean, they want you, the ghosts are coming out, they're having this big party. I feel that was very much intentional. I mean, again, this is a debate on which scene is the best in the ride. And I honestly think the ballroom would have to take the cake. I mean, the stretching room is nice, but it's just, it doesn't have a whole lot more going for it other than the fact that it stretches and has some cool narration.
Well, I mean, like I said, I think with the stretching room, just to kind of recount my points here, it is the darkest room in the mansion, and I think that's got to count for something. And it's kind of like a classic sort of litmus test for if a kid is going to be brave enough to survive the rest of the ride. Because I think that's one of the classic things in the cast member handbook in this ride is if a kid gets scared in the stretch room to ensure the kid, hey, don't worry, the rest of the ride isn't going to be as scary. And I think there's something to be said. There's kind of like a bold risk to have your biggest scare, and arguably still to this day one of the more creepy elements of any Disney attraction. You know, the hanging corpse and just the idea of, you know, of course, there's always my way and the lights going out and being thrown into pitch blackness. I mean, that's still intense to this day. And I just admire the showmanship of it. It's just a very iconic pre-show.
Well,
And
I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, I don't think many people even noticed the hanging corpse. And I never noticed it until a few years ago. And the ghost host kind of trolls us. I mean, he says there's no windows, no doors, and there's obviously 2 sets of doors at least. So I mean,
there's no
kind of
doors,
not...
Andy. The walls move. It's eerie.
All right. Well,
the walls. Anyways, all right.
Jacob, thoughts?
God.
I like how this went.
Yeah, there's definitely an improvement over the first run. I think both lobby beach points better and overall.
Was a vast improvement. Well, not
Definitely.
vast. There was an improvement. The other one wasn't that bad. It was just, you know, I think we've gotten better. Anyway, keep going.
I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say. I think they both raised very good points about how things work out. I mean, I think when Tiki brought up the whole like blowing the load kind of thing, I think Sandy recovered very well from that. I think he pointed out like how it's kind of supposed to be like that, and like how the real spectacle is the end, which is actually a very valid point.
So yeah, this was a very close one for sure. This one, I think you guys are really, really even keeled in this one with you know, with your approaches. You made a very excellent point. You both had really good recoveries too. I just feel at the end though, honestly, there's one thing I think kind of clinches it. It's by a small margin. It's kind of like by a nose, if you will, by a nose in the race. It's the fact that Sandy, I think, probably recovered most, but it's the fact that Tiki, in his argument against the ballroom, he kind of bolstered the ballroom when he probably shouldn't. He basically, essentially, in all.
Oh, I realized.
I'm
that's
pretty
what I
sure
was
by
doing in the
definition, he
moment,
literally
and
said it's the best room in the mansion, which kind of.
I did.
That's the thing.
I
Because of that, I mean, I think overall you guys are pretty even in the fight, but Tiki did kind of give Sandy that victory with that moment, so I have to give it to Sandy.
Fair enough.
What moment was that?
Tiki essentially said when he was basically
when I was going off
out.
about the pacing, about how like no other ride is going to no
essentially
other ride
it all downhill from here after the ballroom.
Oh
yeah.
Tiki, we still have a third round.
I know. Sorry. Anyways.
Round number 3. So I think it's safe to say we all want another stab at the Haunted Mansion taken. We all want another reboot of the Haunted. We want a reboot of the Haunted Mansion, you know. And of course, Del Toro gave us hope, and right now that hope's been somewhat dashed. But you know that hope is kind of growing cobwebs on a shelf somewhere. The old project's kind of been shelved, but in the interim, you know, there was talk of a Hatbox Ghost, You know,
sorry guys, I just didn't want you guys to see my personal Facebook stuff, so that's why. Hold on, I'm getting the stuff back up. Sorry.
yeah, Dragon F. As long as Del Toro actually directs it and does a good job, because I know with Scary Stories he only produced that, and the director they got was not very qualified.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. I would love it if Del Toro ended up doing the Haunted Mansion, but unfortunately, the curse of Del Toro is the man's just too darn good. He has his hand in all sorts of projects, and it's just like, oh, come on.
I don't know what. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do a Del Toro, but
am I the only one who thinks the guy's overrated?
Yeah, I love Del Toro, man.
Yeah,
I can see the argument. Argument.
You can like something, but still think it's overrated.
I feel like everyone just raves about Del Toro. It's like, yeah, he's a good director, but man, I think he's overrated. I think just because of the projects he's done. that has more that have more exposure. But I think there are a lot of better amateur directors out there.
Well, it's not saying like he's the king of all directors. Just saying he's a really good director. It's pretty much,
Well, I just think he gets a lot of praise, and I'm just trying to figure out if it's all justified or not.
Anywho,
Anyways,
point being, there has been talk within this Del Toro version of Haunted Mansion. There's been rumors and word that the Hatbox Ghost will serve a major role within that film. Now, whether that's going to carry over into whoever takes the helm next, or if Del Toro ever gets to it, not for us to say. Point being, kind of one of these breakout stars of the Haunted Mansion might have a major role, so I feel it's right to pose the round question, if you will. Who should play the Hatbox Ghost in a potential Haunted Mansion reboot? Sandy, what do you have?
I'm coming really strong with this. I've got Willem Dafoe.
Sandy's got Defoe. Tiki.
Going very unconventional, doing kind of a gender swap here. I'm going with the incomprehensible Tilda Swinton.
He's hinting for the Swinton. Okay. All right, Sands, when you're ready.
Well, I mean, I think just look at the guy. Look at his face. I mean, he looks like the Hatbox Ghost without even trying to impersonate the actual character. I mean, he's got the bony cheeks. He's got the really I guess his eyes. I guess is what I'm trying to say. His face is just. I mean, he just looks like the character. I mean, he's got the deep gravelly voice. He's thin and bony, and I think he'd do a really, really great job. He's got a really great track record. I think he'd do a marvelous job. He's the right age as well.
All right, Tiki.
Tilda Swinton is just one of those actresses that will do anything, just swing for the fences. She's very weird and experimental. And I feel like her doing a role like this would be just completely right up her alley. I mean, again, look at this picture. She's got she's creepy as fuck to look at just by her very nature without even trying to be. She's got the bone structure down. And I feel like we don't know what the Hatbox Ghost sounds like. We've never heard really an audio recording of him. If we have, it was probably on one of those old school like 60s LPs, so I don't really count that. So I feel like Tilda Swinton could give the Hatbox Ghost kind of like a more ethereal, kind of tragic side to him. Because I've always thought of the Hatbox Ghost as more of just kind of like a... not necessarily a dark character, but just a character with some baggage, literally. He's literally carrying his head. He's carrying his head around. I mean, that's got to be some symbolism there. So I feel like the casting of Tilda Swinton here, it would definitely be a plus in terms of, first of all, would probably like give her a plus in terms of like, hey, I was cast in a whitewash role and now I'm doing a gender swap role. So I'm buying some diversity points back. Yay me. But other than that, I just think she's weird enough for it to really work. I feel like the Hatbox Ghost is a very weird character. It's weird that the fact that the Hatbox Ghost is even popular to begin with. So why not just swing it out of the fences with some very, very unconventional casting that could really work out for the best?
I think Doug Jones would be another good option for it.
He would, but neither of us picked him.
Do love me some Doug Jones, but again, thought that would have been useful beforehand. Okay.
I still think Defoe would do the best job out of the three. But
Sandy, can I just say you're not really like being creative with your Defoe choice? That's one thing I want to knock you for. It's like we all know that you love Defoe. It's like me. Like let's see, what would be my big like? I would probably
Fabian.
I don't know, guys. Well, you're the Fabian guy. I don't know.
Still, you could pick. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe you go for Fabian. I don't know.
You'd cast Cranston.
Yeah, exactly. Like, some sort of like. I feel like, first of all, I don't let this influence my argument, but I don't even usually like Tilda Swinton. I just think that the casting is weird enough to work. I feel like she feels like an alien to me, and that's why I don't usually like her acting. But when you put her in something like this, where she's weird and supernatural, I feel like it would be a really good fit. I feel like because I'm not I don't see her as untalented. I just see her as kind of like an actress where there's a little bit of an emotional disconnect there. But if she's a ghost, then there'd be a literal disconnect, and she'd kind of have like that weird and creepy thing down, and there'd be kind of like an uncanny presence to her.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how you're connecting this female actress with this scrawny and bony old man skeleton ghost character. Man,
Kate Blanchett won an Oscar for playing Bob Dylan. Okay.
But you say we've never heard his voice before, so you're implying...
She at least got nominated. She at least got nominated, Dragon.
Okay, all right. Well, you're saying we never heard his voice before. That's true. I don't think we've ever heard his voice, but you're implying that the Hatbox Ghost could sound female. I mean, that doesn't click.
No. I'm implying that the Hatbox Ghost doesn't necessarily have to have a gravelly Defoe "Avenge me" voice. That's the only thing I'm implying.
That's not what I'm saying. He should sound like a grizzly old man. That's what I'm saying.
Why can't he sound like a world-weary old man?
Well,
I don't know. That's more what I picture the character, kind of just someone who's just got the weight of the world on his shoulders. I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure what to say. I mean, I just think Defoe looks enough like the character where he could do a really good job at least portraying the physicality of said character. I mean, just look at his face. You put his face right next to an image of the Hatbox Ghost, the original animatronic from the ride, and he looks just like him.
You know what I could see being problematic with Defoe is that Defoe is right now really trying to get into that Oscar type thing. Like, he was nominated for a couple Oscars recently. He's getting a lot of buzz for The Lighthouse, which I can't freaking wait to see. And I feel like Tilda Swinton's kind of going in the opposite direction with her career, where she used to be the Oscar darling, but now she's taking on these weird sort of side projects. And I feel like The Haunted Mansion would be a perfect stepping stone for her, something that's still popular, but not necessarily Oscar baity, but still a role that she could sink her teeth into. I don't necessarily see Defoe wanting to do The Haunted Mansion. I feel like his days of being like the hammy Green Goblin villain type are over.
Well,
I feel like he's a little bit too self-serious to really indulge in something like this these days.
We're talking about who would make the better Hatbox Ghost, not whether they would not want to do it or not. I mean, it's kind of beside the point, Tiki.
All right, I'm just putting real context into it.
The guy's alive, and anything is possible. I mean, it's not like he's dead or something.
Yeah, fair enough. I really, like I said, I really feel like casting Defoe, I think, would be a predictable move, not just by you, Sandy, but just in general. Like you said, he does look like him, but it's kind of like I know it kind of be like a case of like casting Leonardo DiCaprio as Gatsby. Like, does Leo fit the mold of Gatsby? Sure. Is Leo a great actor? Yes. But Gatsby is such an enigmatic role that I kind of want to see someone who's not a superstar play that role. And whereas both these actors are kind of evenly famous, I feel like Defoe is a much more recognizable face. Whereas Tilda Swinton is much more of a chameleon that you can kind of do anything with.
For me, this all falls back to the point that the fact that, I mean, that she's female. I mean, I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything, but
well,
you've got a very don't pull that, okay? You know exactly where I'm
tempted to.
You know exactly where I'm coming from, okay? The Hatbox Ghost is clearly a very male character, all right? And it's just think sticking a female in that role, even if she is quirky and weird.
Dragon, a female could play Jack Sparrow, for fuck's sake, all right?
This isn't Jack Sparrow though. It's the Hatbox Ghost.
Jack Sparrow is a much more defined and manly character than the Hatbox Ghost.
How do you know?
How do I know? Because you've got 5 movies based on him versus the Hatbox Ghost. You've got like a couple of comic books.
Yeah, we know nothing about the Hatbox Ghost. He could be anything.
Exactly. That's my point with Swinton. Thanks for making my argument for me. He doesn't have to be like, basically, if you do the Hatbox Ghost as Defoe, it'd be kind of like some variation on Defoe is the crazy lighthouse guard, or Defoe is the crazy hotel manager. Okay, he wasn't crazy in that role.
Yeah, he was a nice guy in that movie.
I know. I'm just... But you get my point. It's like, I feel like Swinton would bring more dimension to the role. I feel like she'd make it her own more. Whereas Defoe would just kind of be like, oh, all right, you want me to do a scary ghost? All right, ooh, I'm a scary ghost. Whereas Tilda Swinton would be like, well, let's get into the multi-quadrical realms of what being a ghost would entail on a spiritual level.
But you just said Defoe's getting into the more Oscar area of his acting career. I don't care if he were to do this now. I don't think he would go all goofy goblin. Again, it all falls back to the fact that she's female. She sounds like a woman. All right, you have this Hatbox Ghost. You don't want people putting too much focus on why this Hatbox Ghost sounds like a female. I mean, you can make her look.
You can modulate her voice. Makeup exists.
You shouldn't have to do that, though. Okay, you should not have to do that.
All right.
I mean, if it's Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk, I mean, obviously you're going to have to do that.
I'm not saying it's Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk. I am saying the Hatbox Ghost is literally, just by definition, in Disney lore, a pretty blank slate of a character.
I'm getting way too tied up on this. I think you better just call it Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon, I think it's time for R2.
All right. Okay, before we move on, though, I do want to make a point.
Okay.
Marsh, avenge me, son. Oh, Goofy Goblin. I just couldn't resist him.
Goofy Goblin. The mask has the dog snout.
God.
Was that your point, Dragon?
No, it was a dumb little observation. You said Goofy Goblin. It's a dumb point.
So I'm really I'm getting a little bit pissed off. You guys aren't taking me seriously. That I'm just picking Defoe because I like the guy. I mean, it's kind of
Sandy. It's a debate, Sandy. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, just to be clear, he's not taking, for the sake of the debate, he's not taking your point seriously. We haven't even heard our thoughts yet. All right, let's get. I'm making a joke.
No, I'm just
Goofy Goblin. That's all I'm saying, right?
Either way, if I'm going to say something, like, you can at least respect the way that I feel. Okay.
I don't mean to offend Sandy. I'm sorry. I just the point of the debate is to take down the other person with words. So, I mean, Dragon jokes about proverbially killing each other literally at the start of every round. So,
can we just wrap this up, please?
All right. Jacob, thoughts?
It's kind of interesting to see how both of these played out. I mean, honestly, I didn't really hear much as to for why Swinton would actually be good for the role, other than like what she's been doing, what she's been doing recently. I didn't hear why she'd actually be good as the Hatbox Ghost. Like, oh, she's a blank slate. I heard like she's a blank slate like multiple times. But on Defoe, I think Sandy actually gave a lot of reasons as to why he would be good for the role. Like his basically his history is playing these kind of characters, and also like taking Tiki's point against him, like he's been doing these self-serious roles, like he could actually turn the Hatbox Ghost into one of those.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. Sorry, let me try to rephrase this. I think these are two really solid casting choices. I really do, honestly. I feel it's really close because you both made really excellent points for them. But I gotta be honest. While I think the argument faltered a little towards the end, I will say this though. I'm more sold on Defoe based on the points made. I gotta be honest. I'm a little bit more. I gotta give points to, like, the Defoe casting is really on the money look wise. I do see it. There's a good track record there. You have the voice, you have the physique. Again, yes, there's some untapped stuff there, and again, I'm sure Swinton could bring something to it. And again, this is why I'm a little on the fence about, because again, I feel Sandy let Tiki get into his head, and he was thrown off towards the end there. But I'm going to go with my gut here. I'm going to give the point to Sandy.
Great.
All right. Thanks.
2-1.
All right. Brings us to the speed round. Of course. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Coin.
Yeah, that's my fault. Sorry about that. Okay. Going to the coin. Let's unwrap our chocolate coins, gentlemen. Who's feeling lucky today? Who wants to flip for it? Again, risk gaining a point or losing a point. Sandy, you feeling lucky?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's flip it. Right. Sandy's got 3 points. Tiki.
Right. Let's do it.
Tiki's flipping for it, and another point.
All right, so basically nothing has changed, but we can wrap it up quicker. That I like that result.
All right, Sandy's got 3 points. Tiki's got 2. First to 5 will be.
Wouldn't Sandy only have 2 points?
No, Sandy he had 2. He won the last 2 rounds, and then he got another point.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so first to 5, of course, standard thing going the speed round here. We have 30 seconds, followed by a 15-second rebuttal. All right, so let's start her off. Okay, what will be the most popular Disney Halloween costume this year? So what will the popular Disney Halloween costume be this year? All properties are allowed. You can pick from any of the Disney-owned properties at all. Anything.
Oh man. I'm gonna go with Elsa.
Tiki's got Elsa.
Is this for girls or boys or both or what?
Can be any.
Toy Story. I'm just gonna Toy Story.
Well, you can't just say Toy Story. You got to pick a
Specific
character.
Well, I mean, Woody, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So, Frozen Fever is here once again. Frozen 2 is on the horizon, and boys and girls are looking forward to it. And I know at least one man-eating wreath who is literally going as Elsa this year, and that may or may not have swayed my debate. I just think that Elsa is just going to be an ever popular costume, especially with little girls, of course. But I also feel like it's a cool costume in the trans community as well. So there you go.
Well, Frozen 2 has yet to come out yet. It's coming out at the end of November, so nearly a full month until after Halloween is already over. So Toy Story has already been out for a few months. People have gotten familiar with it. Kids have gotten familiarized with the characters. I think Woody or even Bo Peep would be a very popular option. You've got a solid option for both girls and boys there.
I saw a bunch of kids running around with Kylo Ren masks in October of 2015. I vividly remember that. And plus, Elsa already has her own movie. It's not like we don't know what Elsa looks like or what her personality is.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I personally, I don't think I haven't seen a whole lot of marketing for Frozen 2, so I'm not exactly sure that all the little children families are fully aware of its full presence. That's essentially it for that.
All right, Jacob.
I think the argument kind of fell through on the 15-second rebuttals. I mean, didn't really say much as like why they'd be the most worn costumes this year. And it's kind of hard to say, really. I honestly think Tiki raised a bit more, though.
I think the rebuttal favored Tiki as well. I'm gonna give it to Tiki. I think Sandy has a solid opening now. Okay, so it's 3-3 right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Next question. All right. In honor of the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters and Disney essentially giving us the original Ghostbusters, which animated Disney character should be a Ghostbuster? Any
Goofy.
animated Disney character? Okay, I think he's got Goofy.
Donald.
All right, we're actually going with the original Ghostbusters on this, but
Yeah,
again,
we
bear
are.
in mind, guys, these are like now we're putting them in proton packs. So we'll make that very
Yeah,
clear.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
The original Ghostbuster.
now is the new go. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, go on.
All right.
Instead of the real
Here's my. Sorry, Jacob. Sorry.
I think instead of the real Ghostbusters, they're the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
All right. My argument for Goofy being a Ghostbuster is that he would be the worst Ghostbuster ever, and therefore prime value for our entertainment. You talking about crossing the proton streams? I mean, Goofy would be crossing those streams. He'd just be like bumbling stuff up. He'd be just like I don't know. It'd be just a total comedy of errors. And the Ghostbusters, generally speaking, are smart people. I want to see them with an idiot.
Well, I picked Donald for kind of the same reasons, but kind of for opposite reasons. I mean, can you just imagine Donald with his complete fury and temper trying to catch ghosts? I mean, he'd probably get sucked into one of the ghost traps himself, which would be absolutely hilarious. I would love to see what he would do if faced with a situation like this. I think it'd be absolutely hilarious. Yeah. In fact, I like to see them both together. That'd be the best.
Donald and Goofy are best when paired together, but if there can only be one, I think Goofy fits the mold better. He's literally got the physique of Ghostbusters because Ghostbusters are basically just a bunch of tall guys, and Goofy is a tall guy. Hashtag tall girl. Sarah Plain and tall girl.
Now let's flip that idea on its head. Let's say Donald tries to put on the costume, but he can't. It doesn't fit well because it's made for a tall guy like Goofy. Therefore, he's wearing just this baggy clothes. All these baggy clothes are basically just making me more upset. Nothing goes right, and he can't catch the ghosts.
Sorry, guys. A little bit of a lag on the counter there. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, Sandy was finished, so we're all good there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jacob, thoughts?
I'd say both the arguments were well rounded, except majority of Sandy's argument was just like piggybacking off of Tiki's idea.
Well, I mean, it's not like he influenced me. I know what I had to say.
I know. It's just the way it seemed that way since you were coming second and all that. But personally, I think Donald would be better. I mean, I think I'd rather see him as like the Ghostbuster, like just getting angry, just trying to catch all these ghosts and failing miserably.
Yeah, I mean, these are two really great picks, by the way. Of course,
I mean, for what it's worth, I thought it was clever how Sandy kind of took my argument and kind of flipped it on its head.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It was just kind of ironic how this turned out. I know it's kind of the obvious thing. Well, let's just go with the original Ghostbusters, but again, they really fit the roles very well.
They really do fit the roles perfectly.
I think I would love to see. I'd love to see them part of it. It's like a new Ghostbusters as well. Both of them on a team, actually. But regardless, looking at them separately, you know what? I think both your cells were tremendous, but I feel Tiki had a smidge more going in the rebuttal. So I think I'm gonna give it to Tiki by a smidge, by a hair. I'm gonna give it to Tiki. So Tiki gets the point. So basically, if Tiki gets the next one, he wins. Unless Sandy gets the next point, then we keep going.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Worst moment in the Haunted Mansion movie.
Oh God. Oh. Jesus.
How about the ending? Just the climax of the movie.
Okay, by the ending, do you mean when they're driving away from the mansion with the singing busts on the hood of the car and everything?
Oh, that's actually not what I meant. That's
okay. You mean like when they're going up against Terrence Stamp's character?
Yeah, whatever the old guy's name was, that just was like super.
Ramsley.
Yeah. The old geezer. Yeah, that's what I meant. So I'll just go with that.
Okay. Oh God. I mean, honestly, this is kind of tough because I actually quite enjoyed the Haunted Mansion movie, believe it or not, when I rewatched it. So I don't have that many bad things to say about it. Oh gosh. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with the oh man. This is like surprisingly tougher than I thought it would be. I think the more interesting question would be what's the worst moment in the Haunted Mansion ride? But you know what? I'm gonna go with the oh man, I want to defend this movie.
Man, it's that difficult, huh?
You know what? Tiki's brought up an idea here. Sandy, would you sign off on making it the ride?
Sure.
Okay, let's make it the ride.
Okay, cool. Worst moment in the ride. All right.
Okay, so worst moment in the ride.
Mm.
I'm going to go again, tough, but for entirely different reasons. You know what? I'm gonna go with the oh no, I'm gonna go with the boarding area. Like the actual room where you actually get onto the Doom buggies. Does that count?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I am going to go with the attic.
Ooh, okay.
Alright. Alright.
So I've heard the loading area be described as a set from the Rod Serling Twilight Zone show, and I can't disagree, but the reason why that's bad is that it's just kind of out of place. It'd be a cool set for Rod Serling to open a haunted house episode of The Twilight Zone on for sure, but it really doesn't connect with the rest of the attraction. Like, you've got the stretching room, the foyer, you even got the portraits and the paintings, but then you just have this weird black space in the middle of everything, and I never figured out what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, loading area is pretty weird, but the attic I feel the attic has so much potential to be so great, especially since you've got the Hatbox Ghost in there now. But I just feel it just kind of falls flat. It doesn't complete what it sets out to do. It can tell a nice chunk of this really interesting story between Constance and the Hatbox Ghost character and what they're all about, but it doesn't really do a whole lot within the context of the ride. Don't really understand why there's a bride ghost there, you know.
I think the attic tells a fabulous story. You have 13 portraits of husbands, and their heads each disappear. And Constance is holding an axe. I mean, I think that's great visual storytelling. That's Disney visual storytelling at its finest.
The loading area is nice. It does what it needs to do. They don't want to put a whole lot into the loading area, like, as you know, like you said before, they didn't want to blow their load. You know, they want to save the real scares and the real thrills and the real magic for later on in the ride. I think that's why they left it so dull, so to speak.
Jacob.
They're both on equal kind of on equal footing here. It's kind of hard
But one foot's on the dock and another foot's on a rock.
Oh, get out of here with that.
and one foot's about to step 6 feet under. But which one is going to be 6 feet under? I mean, I agree with Tigi's visual storytelling aspect. Sandy did raise a good point about like the loading area does what it needs to do. Like, it needs to load, and that's exactly what it does. I don't think he raised too many. I don't think they raised too many points against each other, though. I mean, I think Tiki actually raised a bit more. That could just be me.
I think Tiki had a good defense for the attic, so I'm going to basically in defending the attic as kind of better than Sandy kind of set it out to be. I'm going to give the point to Tiki.
All right.
And
That's the game.
woo!
All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so you boys happy with this round?
This
You boys
is
happy with
one of
the...
this is one of the rounds where I'm very curious to see what the other speed round questions would have been. I will admit.
Well, let me see if I can. Want me to tease one?
Sure, tease
Sure.
it.
Let's see. What should replace Nightmare Before Christmas as a Haunted Mansion's overlay?
Nothing.
Ooh.
The mansion is perfect just the way it is.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to come up with an answer better than that myself.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to pick an answer, I'd probably say like Gravity Falls.
Oh. What?
The horror.
What?
Literally, the horror.
Man, I'm
I
sorry,
mean-
Tiki. It's like Gravity Falls in the Haunted Mansion. It's like,
What do you want from me, Sandy? It's like
I-
a recent IP with supernatural themes that's relevant, all right?
well,
I'm not saying it'd be good.
I honestly, I think if the Disney characters like Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, Daisy, Pluto, Minnie, if they took over the Haunted Mansion, I think that'd be interesting.
That also, yeah.
Because Gravity Falls, it's not going to be really relevant to everyone, you know. I mean, I guess the same could be said with Nightmare, but I don't know.
I'm not really.
Nightmare's relevant to way more people than Gravity Falls
I'm not
is. Let's
tossing this one
just
into-
be honest.
I'm not really tossing this one into the ring officially, but I mean, yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. You know, I'm surprised DuckTales was not a suggestion. You know, with like Scrooge McDuck's, you know, his whole setup there. Basically, you're going to his mansion. You have like,
That's a good, yeah, that's
I know.
a really good one.
That'd be more
Duckworth's
like
Ghost.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that going on.
Well,
Plus,
I think
they
the reason
did-
why we're not suggesting that is that Duckworth's Ghost is just not appropriate for children.
Well, they did do that bumper crossover with the mansion, if you guys remember that, in stop motion.
Oh, there you
oh
go.
yeah. That was just really them visiting that mansion, though, not.
Yeah, you know,
Scrooge's mansion.
I think if Scrooge McDuck and the other characters were to like find the Haunted Mansion,
You could be thinking of it like
try to dig up some treasure or something, try to find treasure, and they kept being stopped or whatever. I don't know.
it could be like things like Scrooge bought this mansion and like he paid for the mansion rumored to hide this mysterious treasure.
Yeah, that's a good. Anyway.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out a really unconventional one, and it'll never happen because Universal owns the rights to this. But I would love to see Luigi's Mansion.
No, no.
Okay, how would you feel about Luigi's Mansion as like a standalone attraction during Halloween Horror Nights or something? Though you'd
Sure.
be fine with that, right?
Sure, but I don't want to see Mario in the Haunted Mansion.
Okay, what if Universal made an attraction that was Luigi's Mansion and it was literally like a scene by scene parody of the Haunted Mansion? How would you feel about that?
Why?
Sure. Why not?
I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of like again Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
There's one for you.
Luigi's pretty much being a Ghostbuster in the game, and I mean it'd be kind of relevant too. I mean, there's a new game coming out later this Halloween.
Yep.
All right, we should wrap this up.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks. Again, it's a little early, but have a happy Halloween, just in case we're a bit really early into the month. But, sentiments felt. Of course,
Hey,
Haunted Mansion.
Jacob and I did not Scary Farm in mid-September, motherfuckers.
And who knows? Maybe we might. Hopefully, we can have another Halloween debate down the line.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know.
Possibly. We've got
Awesome.
a lot of hijinks to get through.
That is true. Regardless, folks, stick around for the hijinks. Come for the mansion, stay for the hijinks, one could say. Anywho,
Don't forget to bring your death certificate.
yes, hurry back.
If you decide to join us, make final arrangements here.